In 2015, CNN reporter Josh Lev's wife gave birth to a baby girl. But with the joy came serious concern. The baby was born prematurely. Asking for time off to help care for his wife and daughter, Levs was met with a denial from Time Warner, the parent company of CNN. He went on to file a gender discrimination lawsuit, which was settled, and in its wake, the company changed their leave policy to extend it to working fathers. Now, change is happening gradually around the country as California just signed the most liberal family leave law on the books. And Josh has since gone on to become an advocate for the cause. He's also authored the book All In: How Our Work-First Culture Fails Dads, Families, and Businesses, and How We Can Fix It Together. And we're delighted to have Josh joining us right now. Josh, good to see you.
Hey, good to see you too. You know, talking about family, you're talking to me from home today.
I know. You got the best deal going on right now. But let's talk about New York on the heels of what you were able to accomplish in your dealings with Time Warner. What sort of change have we seen taking place in the state of New York?
Well, the state of New York joined a few other states in having a paid family leave law, which is great. You know, so we early on had some paid family leave existing in California and New Jersey and Rhode Island. But last couple of years, after a lot of pushing and a lot of work at the legislative level, we saw New York take on a paid family leave policy, and that's now going in gradually. So little by little, people are getting more paid time off to do any kind of caregiving. Yes, for a child, but also to care for an elderly parent or a sick spouse, because there's all kinds of caregiving that affects people these days.
When you go to talk to legislators about the notion of providing some sort of approach to this, what's the pushback that you get most regularly from them?
Here's what's wild. The pushback is usually based on a misunderstanding, right? So what I tell people, the first thing I tell them, paid family leave as it exists in these states is insurance. There's a tiny payroll deduction that creates a fund. That's how people get paid leave. It is not a law in which we come along and tell all businesses that you just have to pay someone their entire salary while they're off. A lot of lawmakers don't know that. And what we find is that once they get the information, they start to discover that there's no big argument against it, which is why nationally, majority of Republicans, Democrats, and independents all support this kind of thing.
When people will say to you, well, you know what, it's just going to be too expensive for businesses, especially small businesses, what's your response to that?
Well, the good news is that we don't have to theorize about what it will do to small businesses because we already know. Here's what happened. Once California put it into place, businesses saw profits go up. And it actually makes sense that that's happening because for the first time, people don't have to drop out of the workforce. And instead, they have a little bit of paid time from that fund. And then usually they stay in the workforce and they go back to work. So businesses are producing more goods and services and getting higher profits. So the fear mongering, the people who said, oh, this will be bad for business, it's already been disproven. And that's why it's become something of a competition with New York joining in, Massachusetts, some other states wanting to do this in order to attract and retain and get those profits.
And tell us a little bit about what California has done now. They've taken a significant step.
Right. So here's what's happening. So under the new governor, Gavin Newsom, there's been this call and support now for broadening out the paid family leave program that already exists. So what we have seen is that this has become so popular that now there are calls to expand it. And in California, they're talking about creating a system in which both parents, after having a new child, could get 3 months paid each. And they're talking about exactly how to structure the funding around that. But what that does is it broadens the number of weeks that people will get paid. And I'll tell you, your viewers might be happy to know that New York is already working towards something very similar. As of 2021, both parents will be able to get 12 paid weeks each. So in each case, there's some specifics about who can get it and how much, and you get it down to the nitty gritty. But big picture, New York's advancing too, and California's competing.
Why do you think there's such a lack of understanding?
Because no one has ever told them this, and because in America we have, and in some ways it's legit, a reaction, an allergic reaction to taxes. And when we hear anything at all about a system in which some money will be taken, you know, go back to 1776 in your mind, right? Well, a little bit earlier, but this idea that we reject anything that sounds like a tax. So when people hear paid family leave, often we have the first American instinct to say, wait a second, that sounds like a tax. Tax is not free market. It's bad for business. And so that's why I say, here's the good news. You don't have to be hypothetical about this. It is an insurance system and it helps businesses So now that you know that, how do you feel? And I've been on Capitol Hill. I've worked with the New York legislators. I've spoken in various state levels, and we're at the point now where no one has a strong argument against it.
Are you finding in your travels that some areas of the country are more willing to embrace these notions?
Yes. What happens is there's sort of a groundswell within each state. And as that groundswell grows, you get change. So, New York was struggling with this for a while. But the groundswell got to the point in which everyone agreed to it. So it's not so much geographic, we are seeing some developments in every time zone of the country, which is great. But what we do find is that where there's the largest grassroots efforts, it starts to happen. And also, where states are hearing about each other and that kind of competitive nature kicks in, that's helping as well. And that's one reason that it's now quite likely to happen in Connecticut, because Connecticut people have seen what's happening in New York and what's happening in New Jersey, and they want to complete that tri-state trifecta for paid family leave. So sometimes the exposure to the results right near you is the key.
In an era where we rarely hear the term bipartisan, are you finding indeed bipartisan support once people understand what it is you're talking about?
Only at the state level. And that speaks to how messed up everything is in Washington. It's ridiculous. And this goes back even before Donald Trump became president. I was out in Capitol Hill talking to people about paid family leave, meeting with senators. All the Democratic senators I met with were lining up to support it. The best system available is called the Family Act. It would take this New York idea, make it national. Senator Gillibrand of New York is one of the main people pushing for that. I'm on a working group through her office. But all the Republican senators I met with and their staffs, they had no argument against it. They agreed in principle, but they would not take steps to move forward. And that speaks to the fear of their own voters. The fear of exactly what you said, Jack. The fear that if you stop people on the street, they'll have a negative reaction to it because they won't know that it actually is good. So at state levels, it's bipartisan in all the states where it's happening. But nationally, we're not getting true bipartisan action specifically for the Family Act, which is the right way to go.
Last question for you. Are you seeing still this notion of a stigma that attaches to the idea, especially of paternity leave?
Yes, and I'm glad to see that it's going down a little bit. That's one place in which we are starting to see some bipartisan efforts. We do have Republicans talking conceptually about paid family leave that would include fathers, and introducing ideas that don't add up mathematically, but are at least in support of the idea of there being something. And we are seeing the stigma start to go away. But that said, this is part of what I report in my book, part of the work that I do. Men face demotions or sometimes get fired if they dare to take paternity leave. And this is proven around the country in all sorts of situations, because we have this backward thinking that men are lazy at home, that we don't really do anything at home. So if a guy wants paternity leave, he's just going to go home, crack open a beer, watch a game, and do nothing till his wife gets home. And so we have these stereotypes in our minds. And until we conquer that, we won't have the kind of legislative policy success that we need.
Thanks for spending some time talking with us. We'll look forward to chatting with you again as you continue with your efforts here.
It is my pleasure always. Thanks.
All right, Josh, be well.